Okay, so the topic today is passing data between components in React. So a very, very important topic, and I'm choosing to do it today because I know at least two groups, I haven't had the chance to check in with the other group yet, but at least two groups have started to find the use cases for this. So I spoke to Kate yesterday on how to do it in Bravo Teams app, Charlie even, right? In Charlie Teams app, and then Bilal yesterday we were looking at some code that had already sort of set it up for you, right? Because you were using some other libraries, but to understand it a bit more we needed to go through how we pass data in React. And we've definitely come across at least one method so far. So if we had, by the way, this code is just available on my GitHub under React Data Passing, so you can download it whenever you want. And I have set up a little mock app, and essentially we're finding out what the son and the daughter want for dinner, right? So it's a mock-up of parent and child components. So at the moment, oh no, if I refresh it, it should say unknown, right? There we go, that's better. So at the moment we don't know what the son or the daughter wants for dinner, right? The dad's cooking, not the mum this time, right? It's always fair to share the meals around. So yeah, but we want to essentially send data from the child component, either the son or the daughter in this case, up to the parent component, the father, yeah, the dad. And also we're going to look at how to pass data between sibling components, so the sister actually knows what her brother wants for dinner as well. And we can replicate the scenario if you want, just to try it out to see what we've learned using the mum as well to pass some data to the mother component. So that's the scenario that we're trying to set up, and hopefully we're quite familiar with how to pass data from a parent component to a child component. What's that called in React? How do we pass data from a parent component to a child component? Props. Via props. Fantastic, Kelly. Yep. Thank you very much. So if we wanted, for example, to pass some information from the parent, which in this case is the dad, to one of the child components, such as the son or the daughter, then we just pass it in as a prop, right? We pass in the dad's name, for example, right? We could just call him Super Dad for now, he's just going to be called Super Dad. So then how would we access that prop in the child? This is just a review, right, at the moment, and then we'll get on to the other one. Yeah, so how do we access this prop called dad's name inside of the daughter component? Not daughter dot, so I go inside of the daughter file, right? And then I can access it with my dad's name is this dot props dot dad's name. Yeah, simple as that. Right, so really easy to pass down data from the parent to the child via props. This is obviously a class-based component, which is why I'm using this, but we can have a go at rewriting this in a minute if you want, using hooks as well, using function-based component. So the question is though, how do we get some data up from the daughter? The daughter knows what she wants, right? She wants some crepes, some pancakes. How do we get that information up to the dad?
We need to set the states.
So I've set the state, definitely. So the daughter knows what she wants. She's saying, at the moment, I want pancakes. I want crepes for dinner. It's more a dessert, right? But maybe big pancakes, big savoury pancakes, and then sweet ones for dessert. So yeah, but the state, what's the problem with the state? Why can't the dad component access something stored in the daughter's state usually? He's not a mind reader, he doesn't know what she wants for dinner. So where is state stored? Is it stored in the whole of the application, or someone's shaking their head? It's only stored within the component in which we set it, right? So usually we can't access state outside of the daughter component, right? This is the daughter's state. If I moved on to the son, he would have his own state. They're stored separately in the specific file. Yeah, if we want to access that state or that data outside, let's go back to the daughter. If we want to access that state outside, then we need to use another method to pass our child component data up to our parent component. And I think Esteban just said it. You have to pass a function as a prop. Yes. So if you look in the parent component, you see I've got this function here, or method, because it's in a class, called talk to son. Yeah, so we define a function in the parent component that can access the data from the child. And it accesses that data by passing this whole function, this whole method, down as a prop. So sorry, we were on the daughter component, weren't we? So we're going to use talk to daughter, and hopefully you can see that inside of the daughter component, when we render it, there is a method called, there's a prop called talk to dad.
So that's a callback function.
So that, yes, you're quite right, is a callback function, yeah? So it will not get invoked until the daughter triggers that, or something triggers that, yeah? But in this case, yeah, the daughter component needs to trigger that function, which is not stored inside the daughter component, it's stored inside the parent component. But we can access it because we pass the whole function down as a prop, which we can do, yeah? And of course, we could pass a value from state in the parent down as a prop, right? That's not a problem, but it's the other way that is the issue. So let's have a look, see if we can find this function or this prop inside of the daughter component. So it's called talk to dad, right? So how does that function talk to dad get triggered and pass up? Look, this .state.dinner. It's going to pass it up to the dad component. How do we trigger that? In the case of this app, it could be many ways, but how am I triggering it? Via the button, yeah? I've just done a simple on-click event. So when I click on that button, it should trigger this function, which in turn invokes the function that is stored in the parent component, and as an argument, it passes the value of the dinner up. So when we click that, it should invoke this function. Mil will be set to what the daughter had stored in her state, and therefore the dad should understand what the daughter wants for dinner. So it's not too much different. We just have to pass a function down as a prop and invoke that function from the child component, and it runs in the parent. Yeah, that's all it is. But it looks quite complicated, I know, the first time you see it, and it's a bit mind-bending, but once you've done it a few times, hopefully that will become another string to your bow, right? Another utility, another tool for you to use. So let's check it does definitely work. So hopefully at the moment we are still running the application. So the button's not very big, sorry, but it does say send choice to dad here. So when I click on that, what do we hope to happen? What do we hope is going to happen?
You're passing that data through to your parent component?
Definitely. So what data will get passed, and how will my application change? What will change on the screen?
The unknown become.
Which one? This unknown?
No.
This unknown?
Yes, those one.
The daughter one, yeah? So this is the daughter component here. This button will send the choice from the daughter up to the father, and it's not obvious, probably the way I've done it, where this text is coming from, so I do apologise for that. But if we go to the dad component, hopefully we can see the text that is inside of the dad component there, right? So that's all the dad is rendering to the screen. I'm the dad, my son wants blah blah blah, my daughter wants blah blah blah. Let's try it. Click on there. Hey, yeah, so that successfully passes up her dinner choice. And we could do the same for the son. Yeah, I am the son. So for some reason we're not getting anything rendered for the daughter's dad's name, so we should probably fix that, right? Let's just double check why that's not happening. Ah, look at that. Yeah, so I've used this.props.mum's name. Alright? So I think I was messing around with the different parents and the different children, but how shall I fix that? Well, let's just double check what the prop is called. So we got dad name there, right? Which is Adriana, which is a interesting name as well for a dad.
Modern family.
Modern family, yeah.
Or maybe it's missing an O instead of an A.
Adriana, maybe. But actually, that's the son anyway. So the daughter component doesn't have a prop, right? Called dad's name. Where was I earlier? I swear we had something called super dad, right? Where was that? Was that in the mum? I have no idea.
Maybe it was in the sun.
Maybe it was in the son. Very strange. Maybe I deleted it by accident. So, if we want to pass dad name down, anyone want to give me a name? Or if not, I'll just use super dad again. Adrian, okay. Say it in a deep voice just to be sure, right?
Some of the younger people here like, what?
Right, yep, so then in the daughter, she should now have a prop. And we can change it to dad. Oops. Name. What's happening here? Let's see whether it's suggesting some props for me. No. Did I call it dad name? Dad renders the daughter. Dad name prop. Okay, hopefully this will... Yeah, Adrian's back. Cool. So we could do the same for the son. So he's currently got this .props.mum's name. Yeah, we could do that. So we could take that, I guess, right? It's a very strange family. They've got Adrian and Adriana for their parents, which is just strange. I don't know what the kids are called. So, in the son... Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let's just change that, right? Mum name. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to do with props. And we now got Adriana there in the son component. Do you want to have a go at writing the code for the son yourself, or? Yeah? So if I delete the code for the son, we can keep the skeleton there. Keep the state there as well, right? It's just a choice for the son. We'll still send it to the dad, so, but I'm going to take out everything apart from the mum's name, and I'm going to take out the ability to currently talk to the son. Yeah? So whether this will even compile, I think not at the moment. Let's have a look, see what file that's in. Maybe I can make it compile for you in the sun. So we've just got return. Thought that would have been okay, right? Okay, so that compiles, so we can still look at our app. Ignore the weird 0 for now because we're returning 0 rather than any text. I suppose we could still return the text to say I am the sun, right? I am the sun. And then we can say my dad's name is oh, because I've used that, right? Okay, so we're going with the easy bit first. I have no problem with that. So Jack's suggesting that we put some props in there, and it would be this dot props dot dad name. That looks not right though, right, at the moment? What's wrong with that? Yeah, look, we've just printed it out to the screen, this dot props dot dad name. So what do we need to change? Backtick, I love it, yep. Anything else? Dollar as well. Oops, that's a pound. Dollar. Okay, now are we getting anything? Undefined. Uh-oh, why is it undefined? No, it doesn't come from the state, we're using props. So we're going to get it from the dad components. Let's just double check. Well, look, son's only got mum's name again. So dad's coming back as Adrian. And then it should work, right? Yep, so Adrian's back for the son. Cool. But obviously, if... oh, we haven't even got the button, so maybe let's add a button in there, right? How would I add a button inside of React? Yep, so we can use a bit of JSX, right? Let's stick that in a paragraph, why not? Oops. So we got our p tag. Drop it down actually. Backtick needs to come and join the rest of it. Okay. So button tag was the suggestion. Curly braces. What, inside the button?
Inside the heap, because otherwise it's going to render it as text.
Yep, absolutely. So make sure, yeah, use some curly braces because we're using a bit of JavaScript inside of a tag. And we're probably also going to get an error, right, soon. Should we fix that first, or do you want to see the error? What error is going to come up? Any ideas? Two modules? Two adjacent tags, is that what you mean? Something like that? The P and the button, right, are adjacent at the moment, so we can just use a React fragment to get away with that. Cool. What goes inside the button? Say again? On-click event, was that? Yeah, we can definitely put an on-click. What's the format for defining an event? You've spotted an error, Seb?
Don't you need the slash on the line 17?
Yep, so line 17 needs to be a closing fragment, which is what I was complaining about. Thank you very much. How do I write my event syntax? Put together a lot of pieces now, right? From the previous 4 weeks. E? Okay, yeah. E dots. Oh, yeah. E is an arrow function, right?
Would it be E dot handle click? No.
Yeah, you can call it handle click if you want. What's it designed to do? Let's leave it as handle click for now then. Any other syntax changes needed there? No? Should we move on to a different part of the code and when we'll see if it works or it doesn't work? So what else do we need? We've got a paragraph, we've got a button.
Would that have a handle click function?
Let's make a handle click function. Where do I put that, or what do I do to do that?
So just make you like const handle click.
Const, what? Outside of the class, inside of the class?
Yes, here.
Here? So I do const handle click. Maybe you sense some doubt in my voice.
As it come within the
Yep, we can't use variable declarations inside of a class, we just do it like that, right? So handle click equals an arrow function itself. Is that what you want? Yeah? What do we want to happen? Yeah, definitely. You've done quite a bit, Jack, so it's getting hard now. Let's let someone else take over. Use state, well, we're inside a class component, so you can set state if you want, but we don't want to change the state. We've already got it set to pasta. Sorry, I'll make it a little bit bigger for you, Kathy. So what's the idea? When we click this button, what happens with the daughter? Yeah, send choice to dad, right? And it sends the dinner choice up to the dad. So we want to do the same thing, right, for the son? So what do we want to happen inside of this handle click? If I write pseudocode, could I literally just say send dinner choice to dad? Right, that's what we want to do, essentially, yeah? That could maybe be a function. And what would it pass up to dad?
It would pass up the distance.
Pasta, yeah. So rather than writing pasta, of course, I could write, I think Caddy said it, this dot state dot dinner, yeah? Of course, send choice to dad is not defined at the moment. Where are we going to get send choice to dad from? Where are we going to create it, maybe? In dad? Did someone whisper? Yeah? Okay. Should we do that then? So we've currently got a talk to daughter in dad. So let's create a talk to son method as well. What else do I need to change?
Son dinner.
Yep. So rather than being daughter dinner, let's have son dinner. And that will access or change the value of that state up there that I've already prepared, yeah? Son dinner. Meal's fine, it's going to be a different meal, we can call it whatever argument we want. So that bit is essentially done. So does that mean I have to come back here and call this talk to son, or? Talk to son is not defined though, because it's in a different file. This dot props.
No.
it?
We're not going to import it, no, in this case. Although, would that work? That might work. That'd be something to try in the future if we could still do it that way.
Yeah, it would be this dot props.
This dot props. Dot talk to sun. Okay, that's interesting that it's. I thought I would throw an error, but we haven't got anything inside of our button, I think, at the moment, right? Let's give our button some text. So, can I just put send?
Should it not be talk to dad in under line 10?
Why talk to dad for us? Because we define something called talk to son.
We're still in sun at the moment.
This is sun, yeah, at the top, see?
Which is that the function in dad is talk to sun as well. It's a bit weird for sun.
I agree with you, Faraj, actually, but I'm just testing people. So when I click the button at the moment, nothing's happening. If we inspect and click the button, do we get any errors, or is it just not doing anything? So essentially, the button is not doing anything at the moment. Yeah? So why not? Yeah, I'm not convinced that this bit's right. Firstly, I don't think we need an event in this case. Someone say this dot handle click? Yeah? And do that. Well, it depends actually, right? The syntax I've used up here, we could just write it like that. Yeah, and that should work. Okay, so what happens now when I click the button? Does it at least run the function? Ooh, this dot props dot talk to sun is not a function. So the event is at least getting triggered now, and it's running the code inside of handle click, but this bit is not defined. This dot props dot talk to sun is not defined. Why not?
Should you use a callback function?
Callback's not gonna fix that issue. It's still gonna be undefined whether we add as many callbacks as we want.
Is there definitely a prop in dad?
Well, it's worth checking, right? Is there a prop on dad called talk to sun? And Faraj was saying it should probably be called talk to dad if it's a prop, right?
Yeah, in sun.
So at the moment, the only prop we're passing to sun is called dad name. So what should we pass to it?
Sun, and it's talk to sun.
Talk to dad makes more sense, I think, in terms of what it's trying to do. Yeah, the son is trying to talk to his dad to tell him his choice. Okay, but what does that equal? This is one of the key bits, I guess. What does this prop equal? The dinner?
Meal.
So what? This dot dinner or just meal? What do I do? Is it a variable? This dot props dot meal, you said? So has this dad component got a prop called meal? Don't think it did. That would be an app, right? No, dad's got no props. So what are we trying to send down to the son? Do you remember? If you're not sure, have a look above to the daughter component.
You're sending the function.
Yeah, we need to send that callback function down to the son so that they can invoke it.
Is it this dot talk to sun?
Absolutely. Yeah? So it is this dot talk to son, but we also send it as a callback function. Okay. So now we've got the issue in dad of meal not being defined. Why is that not defined? Say again, Farage. I didn't hear. Should it be what? Dinner? No.
No,
We can change that to dinner, and then dinner will be undefined.
no, because
Oh, you got the bracket wrong. I think you got a curly bracket.
before you have the
No, it's not a curly bracket.
you have the function with no name, and it should be meal like.
Yeah, so it needs the argument of meal, right? Otherwise it can't handle that. That's, yeah. And of course we can get rid of the brackets if we wanted. Still an arrow function. Okay, so now we're passing this callback function down. In the sun, what do we invoke now? I think if we still run the button and we still get the same error, this.props.talk to sun is not a function. So what function did we pass down? This.props talk to dad, yeah, we passed down, and it should send back up the dinner. Let's check. Something changed, yeah, pasta, right? And also notice that here changed as well. The daughter is now aware that her brother wants pasta. So that would be an example of passing data between siblings. And the only way that we can do that is pass it up. Well, not the only way, but the only way using just
But
vanilla React.
She knows it because the dad knows it.
She knows it because the dad knows it. Exactly, Seb, right? We have to pass it up to the dad, and then the dad communicates that choice back down to the child, to the daughter.
So with passing between siblings.
Yep.
Is that with Redux? Is that
You're talking about Redux?
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you could use Redux, right? But we haven't used any extra dependencies here. We've just used whatever comes with React and JavaScript itself. So there's three scenarios essentially, right? You pass data from a parent to a child. Component we're talking about here, yeah? Component. Oops, CSS matrix, nice. Other options? Other scenarios? Absolutely, so we've covered child to parent. Yeah, so, and then the other example would be pass from child to child or parent to parent, so we can just call that between siblings, right? Pass data between siblings. Sibling components. Yeah, so the first scenario we've done a lot of already, and we said that is via props, right? Yeah, so the parent will send a prop down to the child who can access it via the props object. From a child to a parent, you send a callback function, yeah, down, whoops, oh god, down to let's say send a callback function defined in the parent down to the child component as a prop, and then use some code or event, up to you, to trigger, or should I say invoke, it's probably better, right? Invoke the callback function via the child component. Yeah, it's a bit more complicated, that one, but we've just seen the example and then created that example again ourselves. Not a question, no.
Oh, sorry, just
And then between siblings is essentially those two combined, right? Pass up from one sibling to the child, to the parent, always up to the parent, yeah, and then pass the data down from the parent. So I guess we can just put via the callback again, right, just to remind ourselves. Pass the data down from the parent to the other child. How? Via props, yeah? Same thing. Cool, so they're essentially your three scenarios there. And through those three scenarios, you can cover passing data between any component in your application. Yeah? So it never gets more complicated than that, except you have lots of components in your application, right? You don't just have a parent and a child and lots of other children on the same level. You might have many, many different levels to your application, right? You might have that main app, if you like, the grandparent, yeah? And then that communicates with whatever the app renders, yeah? So that might render your gallery page, for example. So gallery is a child of app, but then the gallery page itself can have children, right? It goes on another generation. And the gallery itself has a TV show component and so on, right? You get the idea. So
Notify the eldest.
what if what?
Notify the eldest.
I didn't understand that sentence. What
Tell the eldest
Tell the eldest.
what's going on.
Tell the eldest what's going on. Yeah. So that's what I'm getting at, right? How does the grandchild tell the grandparent what's going on? Well, yeah. So essentially, without using any external methods or libraries, then using these methods, we would have to use a callback in the grandparent, pass it down as a prop to the parent, and then the parent would pass that same function down as a prop to the child.
Can you use the React API as well?
Yeah, so to make that a little bit easier, you can use, terms escape me now, is it? Is it context? Yeah, so you can use the context API, which I do want to cover at a later date, but probably not today. And look, you can read what it says, but it essentially says, in a typical React application, data is passed top-down, right, via props, what we just covered. But it can be cumbersome if there are many components in an application. That's what I was trying to get at. And context allows a way so that you can pass a prop down via many levels straight away without having to change each component, yeah, because that's not very dry, it's not very easy to maintain. So you essentially create a context and a provider, and the provider is a higher order component that you can wrap around the children so that they have access to that little tiny bit of state or prop further down. Yes, I do want to cover that, but I think it needs its own workshop really. So the problem when we keep drilling down via all these components just to pass one bit of data is known as prop drilling. Yeah, prop drilling. So that's what it's been coined. You're just drilling down, and it's not a good way to pass data. So you can do it, and I think we've used 2 levels at least in the Charlie team app so far, and it works, and we're happy with that, and it's probably an adequate solution. But once you start getting 3 levels or more, it can be quite hard to maintain and keep track of in your head. So Context API is one solution, and then Faraj mentioned Redux, right, which is a state management system, which will essentially allow you to access the state from any component globally. Yeah, so any component can have access to this global state.
I know that the developer meter before using React hooks as a way, as an alternative to Redux.
Yep, so they were probably using the use context hook
Is that fairly new?
Yeah, well, all the hooks are fairly new, right? But I think it came out in February as well, like most of the other hooks. I don't think it's any newer than use state, for example.
That was the train line, right?
Yeah, the train line one where everyone was kicking off. It's
Yeah.
like, this poor guy was just like,
Yeah, look, I mean, Redux definitely has its uses, yeah, but it's definitely for the more complicated apps that you need it. The large-scale apps where there's a lot of state being managed, lots of different levels in your components, then yeah, why not use it? Go for it. But just be aware that you don't always need those extra dependencies and a big cumbersome library, which comes with its own syntax and its own way of doing things as well. Just because you know React, don't expect that you'll know Redux. It's a whole new learning curve to learn that as well. So if you can get away with not using it for now, I would say don't, right? Unless you're going to build some really large scale applications where you've got huge amounts of state and you're prop drilling like mad, then don't use it. It's always good to know the basic fundamentals and the building blocks first, and then you can rely on external tools if you need, right? So the poor guy who was getting a lot of slack, I would have tried to defend him a little bit maybe, but no one could, right? It was just too many attacks. Cool. So yeah, that's an overview, I guess, of passing data between components in React. You'll be doing it daily if you work with React in your job. So that was, I think, the number one requested workshop by ex-bootcampers who maybe felt they didn't have enough information on this stuff. So it's something you will use a lot. Plus maybe the context API and Redux as well, depending on the company. So you can download that again from my GitHub account, so you can download that from my GitHub, and then it's just called React Data Parsing if you search for that, and get your own copy of the code, play around with it, create some more components. Can you pass it from grandparent to grandchild, for example? And just really test your understanding on that very important topic. Any questions before I close the stream? No? All good? Cool. Thanks very much.